The Second World War had many faces, many battlefields, and many heroes. Perhaps the single most important front in the global struggle between the Allies and the Nazis was just off the shores of the United States East Coast. The Authority Group presents World War II, Nazis Attack America. I'm Preston Trombley. It was the longest uninterrupted military campaign in World War II, with operations running from 1939 until its end in 1945. Years before the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, Adolf Hitler, arguably the most dangerous individual of the 20th century, sent a technologically advanced U-boat submarine fleet manned by skilled mariners and war-at-sea tacticians to wreak havoc on America and its citizens. While the effects of the war were certainly felt harder on the European continent, it was the Battle of the Atlantic that brought the Nazi threat within sight of America's coastline, and a frightening few times onto its soil.
We could never be seen, but the large 8, 9, 10,000 ton fighters were very huge in comparison, and we could see them in the dark, often without glasses. We could then launch our torpedoes, 5 of them, turn around, speed away on surface and recharge our torpedoes. And if we were lucky enough, we could break in during the same night again and release another 5 torpedoes.
New information, only recently declassified, has revealed the exploits of Nazis carried to the United States by German submarines, saboteurs armed with explosives and the most devious intentions. With missions to sabotage the foundations of America's military-industrial complex, their success could have forever changed the outcome of the war and the map as we know it today.
Certainly the capture of the Enigma machine was one of the most critical factors, the ability to decrypt these messages and find out what was going on. The Germans really never understood the degree to which their radio communication had been penetrated.
The tide was turned by a combination of swift technological advances in location detection, code breaking by the world's sharpest academics, and unprecedented war production by America's adaptive and diverse workforce. The Battle of the Atlantic was a struggle fought by military personnel, merchant mariners, and citizen patriots who, on behalf of the Allies, would simply not allow the Axis to win. With the American entry into World War II, German authorities began planning to land agents in the United States to collect intelligence and carry out attacks against industrial and military targets. But what if Germans bent on destruction were to make it onto American soil?
This is the beach in Amagansett, Long Island, where on the night of June the 12th, 1942, 4 German saboteurs were landed from a German submarine just off the coast. They were rowed ashore and landed on the beach just down here where they buried their explosives and sabotage equipment.
At some point before 2 of the saboteurs from Amagansett Beach reached New York City with nearly $100,000 in their pockets, an amount worth over $1 million today, their plans had changed. George John Dash and Ernst Berger decided to back out of the mission. Dash went to Washington, D.C., and turned himself in to the FBI, where he was first dismissed as a crackpot. Not until he dumped his mission's remaining cash on the desk of a lead FBI agent did they sincerely consider the veracity of his seemingly incredible claim. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover announced the news of the capture, minus the story of Dash's betrayal, in an attempt to drum up American support for the war effort.
The Battle of the United States took place in every community in the nation. It was a struggle against enemy agents who had been sent to this country to disrupt our industries, destroy our morale, and damage the impact of our fighting armies.
I really believe that if 2 of the other spies had not gone into the FBI would have had a really hard time finding these people, and they might have even accomplished what they came to do.
President Roosevelt, Attorney General Francis Biddle, who was to act as prosecutor, and members of Congress all called for swift and harsh punishment. Both Roosevelt and Hoover agreed to the less conventional but far more stealthy military tribunal over public courts proceedings. Matters moved swiftly. The 8 saboteurs were taken from FBI headquarters in Washington, New York, and Chicago to the United States Federal Prison in the District of Columbia. With false passports, forged Social Security cards, and fake driver's licenses, admitted as evidence, along with items recovered from the beaches and scores of photographs, by July 1, 1942, all had been convicted of violating the Articles of War. All that was left was the business of putting 6 to death by way of electrocution, while 2 began life sentences served in solitary confinement. In some of the swiftest justice the 20th century American system would see, it was only a matter of weeks from the day Dash walked into a DC FBI office to the execution of his co-conspirators. But the Nazis were neither deterred by the complete lack of success or their first round of attempts, nor the harsh punishments doled out. By the end of the war, German U-boats in the Battle of the Atlantic had sent over 2,900 ships and 14 million tons of Allied cargo to the bottom of the sea. In exchange, the Allies sank almost 800 U-boats. Over 30,000 of the 39,000 German submariners put to sea never returned, the highest casualty rate of any armed service in the history of modern war. It should be noted with some alarm that at the war's end, Germans were found to be chillingly close to perfecting a rocket that could reach Britain, an atomic bomb that could be used on London or another major city, and having completed, but not yet launched, 100 brand new technically advanced state-of-the-art submarines, the likes of which America and the Allies had never seen. Having been named successor to Adolf Hitler one day before his suicide, Karl Dönitz replaced the Fuhrer as the new leader of the Third Reich. As former Grand Admiral of the German Navy and mastermind of the U-boat war in the Atlantic, had his position lasted more than 20 days before final surrender to the Allies, Dönitz would most certainly have sent his new submarine fleet back to American shores with the most heinous of intentions and deadliest of consequences.